Okay. And if you ever want the recording, if you'd like to reference back, just send me a note. Um, yeah, so I'm into this little like covers kick we got going. I have such a fun list going. But I want to start with so I want to do that. I want to start with this song. Do y'all know this song, "The Promise" by I don't even know who did it. Like I thought it was someone else, and it's "When in Rome." I wonder if you'll recognize it when I play it.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe once it
Yeah,
starts.
yeah. So let me just play it, and let's do what we usually do on our first listen. Like listen for. Oh, Charles is. I'm not. Um, let's listen for form. I haven't really studied this song yet. But let's just kind of listen for the shape of the song and talk about it a little bit. We can decide if we want to do another listen, but yeah, let's focus on the bones of it on our first round. And I will take notes as we go, as usual, and watch for thumbs up for audio. Okay, ready? Here goes.
If you need a friend, don't look to a stranger. You know in the end, I'll always be there. And when you're in doubt, and when you're in danger, take a look all around, and I'll be there. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I promise. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. Promise. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise. I promise you I will. When your day is through, and so is your temple, you know what to do. I'm gonna always be there. Sometimes if I shout, it's not what's intended. These words just come out with no cross to bear. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. Promise. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. Promise. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. Promise. I promise. I promise you. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. Promise. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. Promise. And if I had to walk the world, I'd make you fall.
know this?
Yes, that
Yeah.
masterpiece of a pop song. Yeah, I did not. I never knew what it was called, but like
Masterpiece of a
from like
pop
the
song.
first beat, I was like, oh, it's this song. Like,
I had to keep from not singing along in the camera. I don't think
Yeah, I
anybody.
know, me too.
same.
Um, oh, that song is just so pretty. It is so poppy, but I love it's something about that melody like kind of hurts. The specifically the chorus.
It's so wild though. Like the chord progression, I think is the same the whole time. It's like literally
Yeah.
using the melody to change places. That's like I don't know. It's like blowing my mind right now. It's like frustrating. It's frustrating that it works so well because I'm like it's not supposed to. Like
Yeah, I was thinking as we did this, it's such did you guys get anything different? It's such a simple form, is what I want to finish my thought. It's a pretty simple form, pretty straightforward song, but uh, yeah, somehow within there is an arc of some kind, like that I'm like along for the ride. I wanted to kind of that's sort of what I want to figure out what that arc is on our next listen, but yeah, did you guys have anything different or similar? What other observations did you have? Anyone?
I basically had the exact structure wise. I had like the exact same thing as you pretty much.
Mm-hmm. What did y'all call this section down here?
C part
Instrumental.
question mark. That's what I wrote down.
Okay.
Like karaoke instrumental break.
Yeah, it
It's
was
just
a
passing
little
some time.
right. Like instrumental felt questionable because I was like, I don't really know if there was, there wasn't really a whole lot happening.
A little
It
bit of
was,
trinkles on the ivories.
yeah, a little bit. Um, yeah, like what do you guys like this song? Do you not like this song? I want to know why you like it, also why you don't like it if you don't like it.
Oh,
I
I'm like
love the
obsessed with this song.
background
Yeah.
synth. The pulsing background synth is something I've always loved. I remember from like when I was a kid. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da. I mean, that's always kind of drives the song, and I've always really loved
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The vocal melody, it's so good. It's so like exquisitely 80s, like that but not until I've listened to it, because I've never listened to it like this. Is I think, and it's like I just think it's so cool how it, like I was saying, like it just like completely drives the song. And like that like sort of like achy yearningness of when it picks up into like what I'm assuming we're all calling the chorus, like it's just I don't know, it's like amazing.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I was thinking. It's like the chorus is like this sort of, I don't know, it just draws you in. It's like this achingly kind of longing, but sort of the way the way it goes out.
Yeah, I think both the melody and his performance, like his performances has this kind of like achiness to it of that melody. Anybody not like this song? I mean, I don't mean to laugh. You can not like it.
I really like this song, but I'm always like there's a feeling when I hear these kinds of songs where I feel like I'm being manipulated somehow. It's like very like GMO, like scientifically like constructed stuff that just like kind of cuts through you. And
Uh,
there's like I've definitely heard this song before, but there's also like many songs that are like it that use these similar kind of intervals and these performances that I'm very fascinated by. It's a beautiful song, and I want to get to the. I'm excited to dig into this one because there's something about it that's used a lot in this era.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's they all these songs kind of like draw on each other to kind of like make it feel familiar or something. But yeah,
Yeah, I
I,
know. That's why, like, when I was like, who does this song actually? Because there's a lot of music from this era that was kind of
who is
sounding.
it? I didn't get the
Oh,
name of the artist.
when in Rome is
Oh,
the name
When
of
in Rome. That's the
yeah,
name of the band. Okay,
yeah.
cool, sweet.
And I was reading a little bit about it, but apparently when they their practice room was like so tiny that they had their synths like on the wall, like against the wall. I thought it was an interesting fun fact.
Like up, like
Yeah,
hanging, like
yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if it's like some of these synth patches that kind of make it that a lot of bands were using, because that's what sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
And like the layered synth stuff.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's like this is like right at the time when people have like fully gotten so like drum machine and synth like what we might call like automated kind of instrumentation like down to like they've like more or less perfected it here. And I feel like everybody was using it, and this is like the first time you could really like literally like math out. This is well, no, music is basically math, but like a whole generation of like pop people were like you could math out what is like a hit song, you know. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
if that's maybe what you're feeling a little bit.
Beginning of that, the sort of algorithm findings.
Yeah, like a proto like prequel trilogy version of that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't do much for me, to be honest. Like for that reason, I was like, this sounds like every 80s song I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So it's a little, I think another listen might help out, but I was like, okay, yeah, I got this. We got
Yeah,
synth,
you're like, I've heard
drums,
this
piano. I understand. Tainted Love. Sure,
Yeah,
we're there.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
No, totally. I hear that. I think, and I agree with you actually. Wait, I gotta let somebody in. But there is something about this, the melody of the chorus that just the hook to me is really catchy. It's like such an earworm. Um, any major synth nerds that know what synths are being used? And I guess we could just Google it, but I'm just curious if anybody in the room might know what was being used.
Seems like it was DX7 all the time around this time, Yamaha DX7, but just a guess.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, should we do another listen through? See if we notice
Yep.
anything else.
I'm down.
Just wanted to welcome a couple people I just let in, Isabella and well, it's Moron EJ is what it says on your Zoom, but I'm not sure who that is. Might be a new person, but welcome. We're doing a second listen of our song, The Promise. So I'm gonna try and see where what the arc of this song is, because as Tony mentioned, like that one synth patch, or maybe it's just a drum machine, but it is just like playing throughout. So I'm like, something has to change in order for us to feel like a shift. So I'm gonna kind of tune in more to that. Okay, ready? I'll watch for the thumbs up again.
If you need a friend, don't look to a stranger. You know in the end, I'll always be there. And when you're in doubt, and when you're in danger, take a look all around, and I'll be there. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I promise. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. Promise. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. When your day is through, and so is your temper, you know what to do. I'm gonna always be there. Sometimes if I shout, it's not what's intended. These words just come out with no cross to bear.
Okay. I heard some new things this time. I was more aware of like how things were building in that round, like picking up on like what was being added for before I was like, it's just a bunch of synths, a bunch of pretty synths. But I was seeing like how hearing more how things were getting added and layered throughout. Um, what did you all observe? Gia, do you like this song now? He's like, no, fuck you.
No. But it is I observed that it's a safe song, like it's a quintessential pop song. It doesn't really reach a lot of borders lyrically and instrumentally. So like it works. I won't like asperse it, and obviously they have a hit and I don't. So
No, you don't?
I can only say so much. But yeah, like I observed that it's a very safe song. And it does work. I can't hate it. It's just not for me.
Yeah. Some people hate this era of music though. I felt like it was a risk for doing this song in class, but I really am excited to listen to the cover. So I was so excited to sort of A B the two versions with y'all. So no, I agree it is safe. But I
I
love pop music, so
Mhm. I
I'm
like pop. I do. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say no, Jay. I totally get where you're coming from, and I agree that it is safe. But I also find this song so cozy.
Hmm.
You're right. It's working under very rigid constraints, as we observed. Like the structure is pretty simple. It doesn't do a lot to change throughout, but there are these little like embellishments throughout, or little moments of nuance, and it's also so earnest and so sincere about like, I promise you, I'm struggling to find the words, but I promise that I will be able to communicate with you eventually. It almost feels like the finale of an 80s movie, or Lethal Weapon or something.
It definitely does.
It's just so like comfortable and cozy, and I like it. I don't know. But I totally get what you're saying.
I like love this era and I love this like type of song, but it's so funny because like to kind of like piggyback on what Matthew's saying, like the earnestness of it and like the straightforwardness of it is what I like about it. Like it makes me think about the Beach Boys, like specifically thinking
yeah,
about
I
like
don't.
their lyrics. It's like no, like the music and the performance is what gives it that depth. Like it's not like that complicated of an idea. And that's what I like about it. I definitely, it's one of those things like I can't convince you to like, because I think it's hitting us differently, but like it's interesting, like as like a kind of difference in opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down in my notes that the chorus reminded me of Brian Wilson a lot. Like just that huge kind of registered jump for a chorus, and
Yeah.
like the kind of more like, I don't know, even like the melody is really beautiful. I think it stands out in this era of just like that chorus hook is like legendary. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thinking
it's
back
like
on the chorus thing, my wife, who's actually off camera here, was saying that she was trying to do a cover of this on ukulele a while back, and she said the chorus is actually really difficult to sing, like the way the words kind of are all jumbled in there, especially the "but if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me" line. It's like this kind of big jumble of words that where the vocal then in the verse it's very simple, it's just very a few words here, but the chorus all of a sudden has these long lines.
yeah, it's
I'll,
wordy for
I'll.
sure. Yeah. Like and sometimes I think when people do that, it really takes away from the melody line for me. I'm like, you're cramming too much information in here. Simplify it. But yeah, I guess the way he performs it, it's just it really works. The and I like those lyrics. I mean, it's a little bit like emo high school kid, but that's kind of why I like it. Like, it's just like so, I don't know,
I always
so
like the way he says "I'm
heartstruck.
sorry."
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's apologizing the whole song. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
Those kids in the 80s are so sad, yeah.
yeah. It
I
was
wonder too, thinking about what Gio was saying, I keep wondering too, because it's like making my brain go pretty like on all cylinders for whatever reason. But I wonder like if it's like a context thing too, like did it hit differently when this song came out and it was still new? And like we've had 35 years of like and it even came full circle to the point where people literally started using the 80s kind of sonic landscape again. And I'm kind of wondering like when it was new, like was it like different? I don't know. It's kind of
I thought that as well, actually. I was wondering, like, maybe I'm taking some of this for granted, and maybe in 1988 when this came out, it was a banger and was just and technologically, instrumentally changing the forefront of everything stood
yeah.
out at the time. Yeah, see that I can understand and respect for sure.
Yeah, I think it was really well received and was like a pretty fast hit for them. I just did like a really quick bit of reading. But yeah, it's interesting that we can't, yeah, there's no way for us to receive this song the way it was received when
Yeah.
it came out. It's fun stuff to talk about. Um, well, I don't want to rush. I'm like, so, ooh, I can't wait to play you guys the cover. But is there other observations y'all had? Any other things in your notes you want to share?
I had one thought just about the arrangement.
Hi, James. Nice to meet
Hi,
you. Yeah,
nice to meet you all
pretty
too.
excited.
This is so cool, fun. Yeah, just something I noticed about this that I've also noticed in other songs. There's not really, as far as I could tell, any instrument in the mid range. There's the bass line. Most of the synths and keyboards are pretty high register, and there's kind of open space where there would often be like an acoustic guitar or other guitars. So
Mm-hmm.
that seemed effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's also I was noticing that I mean, I think it's basically just all synths, right? Synths and vocals.
Yeah, there wasn't a guitar. Not that I
yeah. I
Yeah,
was
there's
wondering
no.
if there was any organic instrument in there.
I was too. Like that piano. I don't know. Maybe that's a real piano.
I would bet not, like just
Yeah.
based on the fact that all of it is synth.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like
Mm-hmm. But yeah, good point. Like there isn't really like a mid-rangey instrument.
Maybe that's why the drums hit so hard is because there's really nothing else with like transients or like attack. It's all
Mm.
kind of like
Yeah.
cloud, and then the drums are just cutting through it. It's really effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it works for what they're doing.
what is that effect on his voice? I'm sure it's like a very classic standard one, but it's like I was like obsessed with that too.
Like
I knew there
early
was an
in,
echo.
like that delay.
Yeah, it's like a delay, echoey, reverby 80s thing. Somebody just turned the 80s button on. Like
Could have just been it could have been a lot of reverb. I mean, it sounded like an echo, but it could have been a good amount of reverb. That wouldn't be out of the question for the period.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure too, but it almost sounded like the reverb or the echo on his voice was irregular too. Like at some points it was stretching out a little bit longer than at others.
Yeah, like when he had some, like in the intro, there was definitely more of it, but when he got into some of the more complicated parts of things, it kind of loses it. I
Right.
noticed that with delay pedals, just in general, like when you start, depending on what you set your delay to, you can lose a lot of those repeats. So it could have just been that it was still on,
That's
but we're
interesting.
losing some of it in the mix,
Hmm.
especially the faster you go.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about that production of that time. I mean, at this point, things were digital, right? It's not like,
but it's like
Could have used a reel to reel, but I doubt it. I doubt they would have,
yeah,
especially if they were in a small space.
it's definitely digital, but it's not digital like the way we think about it today. Like it's
right,
like if you're making a record today, you'd be like, I want it to sound like this, and then the person at the studio would be like, hang on, let me find that plugin. Like, got it, here you go.
right.
Like it would be like a 4-second process. Like
Yeah. Well, there's your homework. Let's all come back together in a couple weeks, fill each other in.
sounds good.
um, Can we move to the cover version of this? Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna clear these notes. And here, so the cover version is, do y'all know Sturgill Simpson? I can't see you, so maybe people are nodding heads.
Yes.
Okay, so have you heard his version of this song? That's what we're
I've
gonna listen
not.
to.
Can't
It's
wait.
very different. I think it's stunning. So I got like obsessed with this song for a period in my life. I listened over and over, and I never studied it the way like we do in class. So I'm I'm excited to kind of answer my own question of why am I so obsessed with this version of the song. Um, I think some of it's his vocal performance, but I'll let you all decide what you think of this version. Um, share screen. I will take notes as we go, and I will watch for a thumbs up.
You need a friend. Don't look to a stranger. You know in the end I'll always be there. But when you're in doubt, and when you're in danger, take a look all around, and I'll be there. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way you planned them to be. If you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. Your day's through, and so is your temper. You know what to do. Can always be there. Sometimes if I shout, it's not what's intended. These words just come out with no right to bear. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way you planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. If you wait around while I'll make you fall for me, I promise you, I promise. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be, but if I had to walk the world, make you fall for me, I promise you, I promise you, I will.
Oh my God. Still, that song, I love it. Like hurts. Like you can't
Gia,
sing
I
it.
have to know your thoughts, man. That's like I have to know how
Gia,
it hit
the
you this
floor is
time.
yours.
Oh man, no, I love this version. Like immediately, as soon as it started, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be phenomenal. Yeah, totally, almost a completely different song.
Isn't it so different? Yet, like, it breathes in a really different way, like this version. I hear a lot more of the lyrics. Um, and obviously, it's much slower, so in that way it breathes. But yeah, it also, like, I really felt the sentimentality in the other one, in the 80s version, but it's different. That like country, like kind of twang and whine in his voice and the guitars, it hurts in a different way. It's really expressive. I want other people to pipe in about just go. I want to hear what you guys thought. It was fun to watch y'all's faces too. Isn't it rad to hear an artist like take a song and sort of express it in such a different way? Like it's the same song, but isn't.
But I feel like it's the same sentiment too. It's the same amount
Yeah,
of earnestness. Like it's just in that like sort of country guy way. It's like it's more guarded. It's like I'm at like a bar, but it's like smoky inside, and it's like I'm just kind of sitting in the corner because I don't want to be this big thing, but it's like just as like that could be a country song, right? Like a lot of country song lyrics are like that. And it's like speaks to a lot of like how much does presentation count for, I mean, I guess in all art, but particularly like in music, because like the original version is very like teenage high school type of thing. And this is, feels different, but the same. It's like the exact same emotions. So I thought that
mm-hmm.
was very interesting about the cover.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
oh, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say it's such a surprise and such a delight, but as you all were saying, it fits so well with this genre and this style. The earnestness of the original lyrics carry through, but in this presentation of like the sad cowboy, and
Mm-hmm.
it is so effective. It's very sweet. When he jumps, I think like jumps an octave or something, but
At
when he
the
gets much
end,
louder at the very end, oh my God, it's heartbreaking.
yeah, it like kills my heart. Just
Yeah.
breaks open. It's
Oh my
so
God, it's
beautiful.
beautiful.
You can
Yeah.
hear the pain in his performance.
Yeah.
I love his voice. I'm not. Yeah, I don't. Did Did you guys say you've heard? You're familiar with Sturgill Simpson? Some people did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
Um.
him talking on the radio and he wasn't even singing and I was like, who is this? Like I need to
You
find
loved his
recordings of this
voice.
person's voice like regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
And he was like promoting an album or something, but yeah, mind-blowing voice.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
It starts out like he's barely even finishing the words, like in the beginning, and it just grows and grows and grows until he's practically belting at the end. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I thought that was just a nice little touch of just a little bit, like almost like the words were clipping in the beginning. And then by the end, it's just this heartfelt thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's speaking them in the beginning a little like lazily, like just sort of
Mhm.
like kind of mumbling them. Um, yeah, I wish I had written it down. There was a couple lines that like popped out in his version. I just like heard them more, like I heard the lyrics more, but Um, yeah, tell me what you notice about instrumentation too, because like there's not synths in this. I mean, maybe those strings are synth pads. Maybe that's their nod to the OG version, synth strings. But I noticed just like lots of different guitar parts popping in. You guys picking up on things, taking notes? Should we do another listen for instrumentation?
There's a lot of harmonic um, like variations, like the minor four chord, and like I think like the guitar does that like one, then like that suspension, like dun da da, and then it does that on the four chord too. So it's like using the flat seven thing. So there's a lot of like variation. That's kind of like the sad boy equivalent of like this genre. They kind of like use like the minor chord for me is so the minor four is like such a sad like melodramatic kind of feeling that
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool that they found like their own melodrama in the style to kind of keep the original alive.
Yeah. Oh, Sunju. I think you're on mute.
Opposite.
But can you
Oh,
restart? No, no, now I can hear you.
oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Like the from the production to the instrumentation to the even the lyric interpretation, it seemed like, you know, everything was superficial, like not superficial, artificial in the first version, and then in the second version, they worked really hard in the production to make it sound as warm and organic and natural as possible, even if they were probably in some really fancy studio. And vocally, the younger version, he's like tripping over his chorus and like it's sort of cascading out of his mouth. And then the country guy is delivering it in a much more, confident and I don't know, just relaxed way. So it changes the meaning of what he's saying completely, like ages it up almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree about the aging up thing. That was like a huge thing I noticed and like felt.
Yeah, like this is a more grown version of the same feeling. Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, it doesn't. I mean, I'm gonna admit I'm biased. Like the original version is one of my favorite songs of all time. So this version, I'm. It's gonna have to grow on me. I kind of hate it so hard, but it doesn't
Yay!
have the. I'm in the minority on this one, but it
No,
just
that's
doesn't have. I
okay.
think a lot of it is with that synth, that pulse was almost kind of like a heartbeat for me. It kind of like it mirrored the lyrics in some ways, and this version, just it's just too kind of sleepy,
Mm.
which which works, but I think it's gonna have to grow on me. I'm gonna need a couple more listens, but I feel like the original one, I felt like the instrumentation mirrored the kind of sentiment a lot more. Kind of I'm sorry, and
Mm-hmm.
the pulsing of the synth and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
but again, I am biased because I remember the original from when I was a kid, and it's one that stuck with me. That synth that always like when it came out of the radio was always just like like oh my god, like this is that song. So kind of going back to how it felt at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Interesting.
really was kind of an amazing song, an amazing sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think
I
it's
was.
like, I'm sorry, I cut
Go
someone
ahead.
off.
Oh, I was just gonna say, kind of piggybacking on what he just said. It's sort of like that with that pulsing drum thing in the original. It almost like kind of communicates like some sort of anxiety or nervousness
Mm,
about
sure.
like what he's trying to say, whereas this one he's very much more like almost just resigned to like I have to communicate this kind of thing, and like those it was just very 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 different
Yeah.
presentation, I guess.
Yeah, very much.
It's
Yeah.
like those different stages of life. Like that teenage thing is like just choking out an emotion like this. It's so much angst and anxiety. And like this thing, it's like this dude's like 40 and he's like probably been drinking since noon. It's just like I have
Yeah.
to do it. Like, like there's no other way, but I'm, but still gonna suck. Like
Right. No, that's what I was thinking. It's like this character is kind of like he's been sipping whiskey all day and like kind of stumbling as he walks. And like our other character, like Yeah, I like that point, Blaine. Like the almost like anxiety of you like feel this like teenage anxiety with that like pulse of the synth. Yeah, it's just like two very different versions. And I appreciate, Tony, that you don't like it, you know? Like I actually like love for that to be part of our discussions too. It's
On
like,
first listen, at least, because it's so different. I'm so the other one is just ingrained in my head for however over 30 years now. So hearing a different version on first listen was kind of shocking in a way.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think it is a good like practice though for us to articulate why we like something and why we don't like something. You know, it's sometimes hard to do to like really figure out like what is it I don't like about this or what is it that I do like about this. So it's like I think totally a space for that. Like let's talk it out. Um did anyone else hate it?
I definitely prefer
Fairly
the original.
straightforward.
Blaine prefers the original and then Sanju, is that you? Did you say something?
I just said it seemed like a relatively straightforward, you know, countrified version. There wasn't, aside from that part where he kind of vocally, the part that you guys were talking about where
At
he
the
goes
end?
up an octave and
Mm-hmm.
it's like pretty intense. Other than that, it was a pretty easygoing like country version of that song,
Yeah.
with really, really nice production.
Yeah.
I thought at the end of the first chorus, the resolution of it was way more like devastating in this version. I thought that didn't quite happen in the original for me. Um, and yeah, so I think that's something I felt a little bit more in this one, which
Mm-hmm.
kind of gets at the heart of the lyrics a little bit more. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
No, please go ahead.
I was just gonna say I keep having this thought of like it's weird that like it's the same sentiment but from like two different like points, right? Like what I keep thinking about with the original one is it's like so the energy of it is like so brimming with like possibilities, and this like Sturgill Simpson version is much more like the resignation feels like the feeling behind it, right? It's
Yeah,
like
I get that feeling too. Yeah, like there seems a little bit, and maybe it is because we have like our character in the first one feels like youthful. Maybe it's just that, but there is something more like uh positive feeling to me, even though it is a little bit, it's you can still feel like sort of a sadness or like a
it's
melancholy to it. It
it's
feels
like
more,
even if it doesn't work out, it's gonna work out. Generally speaking, it's gonna work out. Whereas like the other version is kind of like, well, maybe not. Like, uh-oh. Like,
yeah. I thought of it just now as we're talking. The lyric that popped out to me with the Sturgill synth, I mean, it exists in the first one, of course, but it popped out in this one was he says something like, "Sometimes when I shout, um, it's like not what I intended," and that again, like with it in my mind being this kind of like whiskey drunk old guy character, I'm like that is just such a different um
Hmm.
it carries different meaning, you know. It's like to me it's like really sad, like dude, you fucked up, like stop. Don't, you know, I know he's like apologizing for his behavior and his behavior is less acceptable at this point in his life.
Hmm.
Anyway, that was one line. um what do you guys think of doing another listen? Do you want to, yeah, should we could also listen to something else? There's always more to listen to. We have about 9 more minutes. I will put it to a vote to whoever unmutes themselves to pipe in.
let's do another listen. Let's come back on the other side after we've talked about it.
All
Like,
right,
see how we feel.
cool. Yeah, and let's do like we always do. Let's widen our ears a bit. Maybe take a little more note. I was trying to see if he did the exact same form, and it seems that he did for the most part. I don't. Yeah, I think it was like basically the exact same form. So I'm gonna take more notes on instrumentation and composition. So okay, let's go.
You need a friend. Don't look to a stranger. You know in the end I'll always be there. But when you're in doubt, and when you're in danger, take a look all around, and I'll be there. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way you planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. Your day's through, and so is your temper. You know what to do. I'm gonna always be there. Sometimes if I shout, it's not what's intended. These words just come out with no right to bear. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way you planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you, I promise. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. But if I had to walk the world, make you fall for me, I promise you I will.
Hmm. Any new observations?
I will say I love the strings on that. Actually, I'm a big sucker for strings, so I do like the strings. I almost wish they were a little bit more prominent in the first section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are really pretty. I like how they play with the guitar at points where they're like
Mhm.
in unit, they're doing the same melody line. Um, yeah, there's a couple little, just little melody lines that like the guitar does over and over. And the strings too. Like they each like kind of have their own little patterns that like pop up here and there.
There
Um,
is a lot of guitar. You mentioned that the first time, and I was kind of like, really? But like, I was really listening for it, and it's like a
so
lot of, and
many. Oh my
I
God.
like it. I'm like obsessed with guitar, so it's like fine. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, coming from none and the other version to just this nice little bit of reverb, compressed country, probably Telecaster guitar, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like 8 Telecasters on top of each other. I feel like.
For real, I was like trying to follow the parts, just like there was a lot of different guitar parts. And then I'd like, oh, that's also an acoustic guitar I hear back there.
Mm.
It's cool. I like it.
The restraint on the upstrokes for any guitar people, like when the chorus comes in, it's like the top of every measure only. I was like, it was like driving me crazy. I was like, do it more, but like, I really respect that.
Wait,
Yeah, the
sing
lead ones
sing
are
the
really
part you mean.
Mm.
Like when it's almost sounds like a yeah,
It's
no,
just
I
like
know
an
what you're talking
upstroke.
about. It
It's like
sounds
that.
like
It's
a
like a boom, boom.
chunk. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
know. I had the same thought. I was like, do it again, but he didn't.
I really like that about the arrangement. It feels like when someone just starts singing a song and people are kind of just starting to play along like in a rehearsal or something. Like there's nothing that's
Yeah.
really like overdone, and yeah, that big backbeat that they do, it kind of sounds like they're gonna go into that like every backbeat, but they just do it once. And there's a lot of stuff that kind of like it starts and then it doesn't keep going in a really cool way, and it feels casual, like an encore, like an impromptu encore or something, which is really neat.
Yeah.
Random observation, but the tambourine is pretty expertly deployed in this song as well, in this version.
Mm-hmm. Tasty.
Can I steal expertly deployed and then add it to my vocabulary?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Feel free to pass it off as your own at cocktail parties.
Okay, I will. If I ever get invited to any.
Expertly deployed guitar lick, Ronan. Aw.
This version is very like cinematic too. I mean, I guess we were talking about how the other one is like feels like the end of an 80s movie, like so I guess it's also kind of cinematic, but this felt like a like that type of progression. Like it's like the build in the Sturgill Simpson one is like very big and like in like this very like classic way. It was like impossible for me to not like imagine images, whereas the other one I was like totally lost in the music. It's just like a different vibe. Like
Yeah, two very different versions. Almost feel like totally different songs. Well, I see the time. Thank you all for going along this journey with me. It was really fun to talk about this stuff with you, as always. And I'll just, keep on this kick with the covers. It's really fun to do, especially when
Mhm.
you find like two really good versions of the same song. Um, the next one I have in mind, it's such a long song, so I'm like, we might whatever. Come to class in a couple weeks and we'll do it. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with me again on your Sunday morning. I'm gonna stop share so I can see, so I don't have to scroll through. But yeah, I love doing this with you guys, and just it's so fun. I like seeing your faces and hanging out with you. So see you next time. If you have any questions or just feel like if you're listening to something cool and you want to tell me about it, send me a message. I like getting messages. Bye, Charles. I'm gonna look at this chat real quick because I didn't see any of these chats. Yes. Okay. All right. Lots of love to you guys. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Take care, everybody.
See you
Thanks,
guys.
Alice.
Bye.
Yeah.